Get ready to have your mind blown. This is Psychic Soup, a spoonful of psychics for soulful readings come true. Are you dying to get answers? Do you need to talk to a loved one who's passed away? Are you not sure what your next move should be? Well then, welcome your team of psychics. Each episode will have different and unique psychics on the show. Hosted by the enchanting Atlanta psychic, Beth Peters. It's a psychic show unlike any other. You can catch Beth Peters every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern on WDJY 99.1 FM. Are you ready? Call 678-495-4345 and have Beth answer your questions on the air. It's a Psychic Soup, only on the UI Radio Network.
Hello, welcome everybody. Monday, it is a beautiful day outside if you haven't seen it in Atlanta, but it is gorgeous. I know we're all over the world, so you may not be in Atlanta, Georgia. Hopefully your day is as beautiful as it is here. So thank you for joining us. This is Psychic Soup, and you're listening to Beth Peters. I want to give a special shout out today to some friends that have been on my mind. Carolyn Mondon, I'm going to give a shout out to you because we're interviewing the beautiful Cindy Edison today, and I know you know her, so I wanted to thank you so much for that referral. I've also been thinking about my friend John Bevilacqua. He's been on my mind all week, and he knows he has been, so I want to give a special shout out to him. Good friend, wonderful man. He was on my show a couple of weeks ago. And just a shout out to my sister Muses, too, at the Magical Muses, both Sheila and Lisa. I love you guys. And to my last son, my last child in the nest, legally, just legally, I am officially done with parenting of 29 years as he turned 18 on Friday. So I have 5 kids total. I don't know if anybody knows that, but I have 5 kids, and I have another grandchild on the way, which will make 4 grandchildren. My oldest is 29, and my youngest is 18. So legally, I have managed to raise 5 kids. They're all still alive, and I don't think anybody's in therapy. So check, I'm done. But as you all know, parenting still goes on, and I'm blessed, and it's probably my favorite job in the world. I love being a mom, and it was the one wish I had when I came here on this earth, and I started praying as a very young child to have a big family, and I've been so grateful to receive that. So I just want to say a special shout out to my kids, too. So if they're listening, which they're probably not, to be honest, but because they're too cool for school. But a shout out to them, too. I love you guys. And to my husband, too, for putting up with me and loving me through everything that he's loved me through. Most patient, most wonderful man in the world. So shout out to George Peters, too. So thank you. That was on my heart this morning. It's not something I normally do, but I wanted to do it today. It felt like a day to do it, so I wanted to do those special shout outs. But I'm going to tell you guys, welcome to the UI Media Network. If it weren't for these guys, this show would not even be possible. It is an answer to prayers to have a larger platform to reach as many people possible at one time, and to spread messages of goodwill, hope, and a really good conscious radio and media, which is what we're here for. I want to say hello to Jesse and to Davey in the house. They are the producers today on the house producing this show. How are you guys? Thank you. Hope y'all had a good weekend. Also to our friends at 99.1 FM, WDJY. I see that it was already shared today on my page. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Thanks for listening. To our friends from WTTA 107.3 in Kentucky and Ohio, 2 of my favorite states, Kentucky in particular. How are you guys? And to our Metro Atlantans on Talk 10 FM. And you guys can watch these shows, United Attention shows. You can watch them all live on the Smart app. You can put it on your phone. It doesn't take up space. It's called the Smart app. All you do is you download at uimediaapp.com, and you're just putting it on your desktop is basically what you're doing. You're not even downloading it. You're just putting it on your desktop. So to go to uimediaapp.com, and when you go there, it'll say, click here to put it on your desktop. This way you can listen to all the shows that United Intentions has to offer 24/7. You can watch them live. You can listen to them live if you're not anywhere where you can view it. And then you can also go to history and go to the back shows. You can go under my section on Psychic Soup and find all my shows. But there's a bunch of shows here at United Intentions that are worth listening to. So I'd say check it out. It's worth you checking out. If you like my show, you're going to like all the other ones. So check them all out. If you guys have any questions, I usually take call-ins, but I'm not going to do it on this show because my guest today it's a pretty intense subject, and it's something that I don't think that we should have call-in. So I apologize if you were ready to call in and ask a question. Normally we do take those, and we'll do that again next week, because next week is going to be my solo show where I teach some psychic development, and that's the perfect show for you to call in and ask questions and have mini readings. But today I want to focus totally on my guest, and you'll see why in a minute, because it's a deep subject. You'll understand it. Okay, last thing. Connect with United Intentions online. You can follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as United Intentions, and Higher Intention on Twitter. So it's called Higher Intention on Twitter. Now, without further ado, have you guys ever heard of Abraham? Or have you heard of Seth Speaks? Have you heard of Esther Hicks? If you're familiar with the law of attraction, I imagine you probably have heard of Esther Hicks. And she channels Abraham. So some of you guys will have heard of this and some will have not. But if you do know what I'm talking about, then you're going to love today's show, because this is about, well, I can't even say it's somebody different because it's not. But Cindy is going to introduce to us Josef. That is the human name that Josef has given himself, so we can recognize in the physical as a name, but it's not really necessary to have the name, and she'll explain that why. Her name is Cindy Edison, and she is an amazing woman. I've gotten to know her over the phone, and I'm just now getting to know her in person, and she's got 3 books that I've been trying to cram and read, which are very simple to read. But I'm going to read her bio real quick, and I want you guys to tune in. If you're familiar with the collective consciousness, and if you're familiar with let's just say channeling, okay? Channeling. If you're familiar with that. If you're not familiar with it, you still want to listen, because this is fascinating, and it's going to challenge you a little bit. It's going to challenge you to expand your consciousness and expand your mind and be a little open-minded. So with that being said, I want you guys to tune in and listen to what Cindy has to say. I've had to open my mind, and I have to admit there are things that challenge, but so far, everything resonates with me. So if you like me and you resonate with me, you're probably going to like this too. But real quick, I'm just going to read her bio. Cindy Edison, and it's very quick. She's a channeler for Josef. And by the way, this is spelled Josef. Cindy began receiving this consciousness in 2009. In 2014, they revealed themselves, and I noticed I said they. They revealed themselves to her as Abraham. Some of you are familiar with that. In 2016, they revealed that they are an evolved collective consciousness of Seth and Abraham. In late 2017, they revealed their name as Josef. I happen to love that name, by the way. It's one of my grandchildren's name. Not spelled the same, though. The vibration of the new earth. Now, remember that term, new earth. That's another interesting term. Prior to the shift, Cindy enjoyed 35 years of creative advertising when she was a normal human as a designer, writer, and creative director. Throughout her career, she also owned and operated her own creative studio, which I'm not even sure if that is. I'll have to ask her later off the air. And later co-founded a retail eyewear chain where she served as VP of marketing, which is really cool. If you want to check Cindy out as we're talking, go to her website, theteachingsofjosef.com. And now remember, Joseph is spelled Josef, theteachingsofjosef.com. She's also on Facebook and on Instagram under The Teachings of Josef. So you'll find her both ways. Cindy, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me, and that's quite an introduction. I'm kind of moved by my own, by your description.
Well,
there.
Thank
Wow,
you. And
lot to
you're
live up
over
to.
here working up a sweat. I can.
Well, it's the hot flashes. that
You never
come,
know.
but
I think it's the energy too. I was going to say you could have
certainly
fanned.
the energy. I was going to, but I was getting dirty looks on the producer, so I just.
They had the
I'm
camera
kidding.
on
They're
me.
so wonderful.
I was
They're
going to
so
say,
wonderful.
do the fan.
Oh, it's okay. I've
But
been used to it for years.
But I tell people all the time, and when I go and do big galleries, I always ask, do you have a fan?
Yeah.
Can you cut the air down low? And I'm like you. I'm at the age where I know
Yeah.
what hot flashes are, and I know the difference. But when you're channeling, that's a whole nother energy,
whole
and
nother
it's
energy.
a whole nother
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah.
And my whole face, my ears get red. Everybody's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
But it's the channeling, and so
Yeah.
I could feel it when I was talking. I'm like, it's not that I felt your heat. I just knew I could feel it building,
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
"Ooh, she's getting ready."
Yeah. Well, Joseph is here. They're always here. They are what they will say and what they have said to me for many years, ever since they started, is we are always with you. And they
Wow.
say that. And I asked them actually this morning, are you ever going to get tired of saying that? Because I write with them every morning, and they said, not as long as you don't get tired of hearing it.
Wow.
So they're a wonderful patient group.
That's amazing. So you mentioned them as a group, and you
Yes.
say they're a collective consciousness. Can you explain that? And then I want to ask you how you became to do this in the first place.
Yeah, they are a group of 7, actually, 7 teachers.
Oh, 7.
There's 7
Okay.
of them. They are in the 8th dimension. So if that means anything to anybody, they're out there, let's say.
Wow, I
They're-
just got
they're just
chills
out
in my
there.
crown chakra when you said that. I can't,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I can comprehend that.
Well, of course
Wow.
you can. Of course you can. But
Whoa.
anyway, so they're the expanded and evolved version of Seth and Abraham, which means that they carry that message. So they are teaching the evolved version of what Seth taught as we create our own reality. And as when Abraham came in through Esther and started teaching the law of attraction, which is how we create our reality.
Yeah.
And so Joseph is here to assist in our shuffling to the new earth. So they are the vibration of the new earth, which is for the first time available to the human collective.
So when you say the new earth, and I noticed in your book that you mentioned that, as a matter of fact, I want to read this quote real quick. These are her books. She has 3 of them.
4 of them.
4. Oh yeah, one is
You're
about
just short, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
short. I'm
given you
getting the
one
4th one.
yet.
But and are these available on Amazon?
Amazon. Uh-huh.
They are?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make sure our producers put up a link for this. And they're very simple read, which I love. For me, it's easy to pray about and digest instead of just
you.
reading words. You know, you can actually
Yeah.
take this in. But I want to read the quote on the front because this is the important one. It comes under the title, "The Teachings of Joseph." Well, the title's actually they have 3 different titles, but the main is "The Teachings of Joseph." We are a collective consciousness and the evolutionary vibration of the consciousness known as Seth, formerly channeled by Jane Roberts, and Abraham, channeled by Esther Hicks. Our ever-evolving message is one of peace, love, light, and hope as we welcome you to the new earth vibration.
Yeah,
Now that's from Joseph,
that's from Joseph.
which is a collection of 8? 7.
7.
7.
Mhm.
And why, okay, so I want to know, what is the new earth, and why did Joseph, if he's a collection of 7, why did he pick one name?
First, I have to tell you that I love your calling them the collection. I'm going to start calling them that too.
Collection.
They're actually laughing right now.
Yeah,
They
good.
love the collection. I collected them, I guess.
Yeah.
So the new earth, we've been shifting, as you know, and as there are many out there who are assisting in the shift to the new earth. And the new earth will be ultimately a physical manifestation of the vibration that is Joseph. Because as you know, every time we manifest something, or we ask for something, it is created in its vibrational form first. So Joseph steps in and says, okay, here we are. We are that vibration. So now it's our responsibility to form a collective vibrational agreement with them through our physical being so we can create this new, what I refer to as really the Garden of Eden. It will be a
Oh.
physical earth where we live as our souls in physical bodies with no resistance,
Beautiful.
no fear. There'll be no fear there. So in order for us to get there, we need to learn how to dump the fear, really. And
Right.
that's what all of this is about. That's why they started out calling this a healing series because, you know, fear is, they've changed that now. The message is actually evolving as we speak and moving from the word healing to expansion. It's really, it's
like
an
that.
overall expansion
Right.
for the human aspect. Yeah.
So so this is what I picture a lot of times when I channel. When I look at my soul self, my pure self, I picture that I was and am perfect as a soul.
Mm.
And I came here and incarnated into a body.
Right.
Why would I come here and incarnate into a body as an already perfect soul to go through the challenges to bring myself to the memory of what was already perfect? Why did I come here?
That is such a good question. I love this question. And I had it too for
Really?
a long time
Yeah.
until I posed it to Joseph. And this has to do with the aspects. Joseph is teaching us about the aspects of us.
Mhm.
So Joseph is where my soul abides in that consciousness.
Mhm.
And the soul of us is the non-physical vibration of us.
Right.
The vibration that is first before the physical manifestation of us, right? You following? Okay. So we are the human aspect of our souls.
Absolutely.
So we are an aspect of our soul. So I use the pumpkin pie analogy. And that.
You know what? Hold that thought, the pumpkin pie analogy. I got so distracted because I'm so in love with this conversation. We have to go to a commercial break. We have to abide by our rules at United Intentions. We'll be right back. You're listening to Psychic Soup, and you're about to hear the pumpkin pie analogy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hollywood's best-kept secret to rebuild strength and slow down the aging process like never seen before is now available worldwide. This is truly a revolutionary body sculpting system.
Dr. Fitness USA's body design formula can increase an individual's strength, get this, by 20% to 50%.
Independently of a personal trainer and achieve, this is the kicker, a pain-free life. Now, with working with Steven, just in, 4 workouts I think so far, if that, I have no pain in my knees like I used to.
No surgery, no splint. I was supposed to be in a splint for 8 months.
I mean, I don't have back pain anymore. It's amazing.
This is really exciting news for anyone who wants to keep fit and young. So take action now and be sure to visit drfitnessusa.com to begin your transformation.
And you are listening to the UI Media Network, and you're listening to Psychic Soup. Thank you for joining us. UI Media Network offers a host of advertising services, even if your budget is limited. So if you want your business to grow, call 678-495-4345 now and learn more about our March specials for your own commercial. Very exciting. This is a new thing that they are offering. Also, we're looking to build our network. This is United Intentions. And if you could be our next star, which is a very exciting opportunity, stay tuned as we begin to reveal, and that means stay tuned to United Intentions as a whole, as we begin to reveal how you can be part of the UI Media Network. Now, I'm coming back to Cindy Edison, who is the channeler for Joseph. And if you've been listening to the first 15 minutes, you'll understand what we're talking about. If not, you're going to have to go back and replay because we cannot catch up. But she's about to give us the pumpkin pie analogy. So let's hear what she's talking pie. Yes.
Okay, so the pumpkin pie analogy is that the pumpkin pie as a whole would be your soul or God or inner being, as Esther refers to it, or the all of everything. Joseph refers to God as the all of everything. So that is the entire pie. As you slice this pumpkin pie, every slice in it contains every single ingredient that makes up the pie. And every single slice tastes exactly the same. Every single slice has the exact amount of ingredients. And you don't know if you're taking a bite from the middle or the end or whatever that is, which means the translation of that is that every slice is as powerful as the whole. And every slice makes up the whole. And the whole is not complete without every single slice, even if it's paper thin.
Wow.
You know, so that's how we are. So that's the explanation I like to use about the aspects of the soul. And so Joseph is teaching us about aspects. So in answer to your question, why would you come here if you are perfect? The human aspect is here for the expansion of love. And this is how we will ultimately create the new earth, by moving from a fear-based vibration to a more loving vibration, a dominant loving vibration. And we get there by releasing more fear. So the human aspect comes in with that purpose as its goal, as its, it's here to experience joy, because when you are in a vibration of joy, you're expanding. Wow. You're expanding as you are enjoying. You're replacing, or I guess you're replacing. I don't like to say you're running from fear. You're not
Right.
running from, you're running toward the love.
Right.
Right. So this is how the aspects start to play a role. And they teach us in the first 3 books about the soul aspect, the human aspect, and the ego aspect, which is favorite subject of mine.
Yes, I want to discuss that, the ego aspect, because some people, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Just remember ego suspect, the ego
Oh, I'll
aspect.
remember.
Can you tell me how this began for you? Just share a little bit of a personal story. Why you? Why did you get chosen?
Well, I think, a lot of people say that, and a lot of people say we are chosen. I don't believe that we are chosen.
Oh, that's
I-
interesting.
I-
Did you hear that? She doesn't believe we're chosen, so I like this.
I
Let's
don't
keep
believe
going.
we're chosen. I believe that it is that we choose it. I believe that I happen to know from my
Ooh, that gives me
experience.
chills. That's a
yeah.
confirmation. We choose it.
We choose it. We choose everything. We choose everything.
Can you say that again?
We choose everything.
So, to the audience, I asked her, why was she chosen? And Cindy says, I don't believe we were chosen. I believe we choose everything.
Yes.
And I have those confirmation chills. That really resonates. I hope that resonates with the audience. That's a very interesting perspective of that. So explain that again.
Well, we choose to come here. We choose our parents. We
Crown chakra.
choose.
Yeah.
So I visualize this as a meeting of sorts before the choice is made to incarnate, which is always perfect timing for whatever the purpose is. And of course, we're moving through this shift, this earth shift now that everybody is experiencing. You're either experiencing it the way I am, which is in a loving, beautiful way.
Me too.
By choosing that vibration every day,
Yes.
or you're wallowing in the chaos that is out there, and the chaos continues to get more chaotic, and the darkness gets darker as more light comes in, and we take the light and we move closer to the light, and so the light that we have moves away from the darkness. This is my visualization.
You know
for
who
myself.
you guys are. If you more than
Yeah.
likely the people that are listening to this show, there's not many of those,
Right.
but there are some those, and you know who you are. So take a strong listen to this. So
Yeah.
so that division is it the job of the collective consciousness to heal the people in that division, or do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I do
Okay.
understand. And it is, we're going to touch on this healing thing for a second, because I
Okay.
hear a lot of teachers who are teaching the soul is in a healing place, or we are all here to heal, and that there is something wrong with us. This is an out of alignment teaching that will manifest an out of alignment manifestation. You cannot begin with an out of alignment teaching and end up in a aligned state. It doesn't happen. So what Joseph is doing is they're slowly changing old paradigm teachings and old paradigm words. Let me say this that will help too, that with this new vibration and the expansive nature of this new vibration, there comes new opportunities for us to understand more of who we are. And with that understanding more of who we are, we get to, and I say get to because it's really an opportunity. You can
Right.
choose to stay in the old paradigm,
Right.
or you can choose to expand with it. And the ego teaching is part of this expansion. It's a new understanding of old teachings that we've had.
Right.
So I totally derailed myself. So
That's okay.
What was I responding?
That's okay. I'm following you.
I get caught up in it.
No,
Yeah, I
I
know.
do too. I'm following you. When this first started happening for you, did you receive the consciousness in prayer? Were you just doing your everyday life? How did this come about? And let's put this in respect to the fact that you feel like you chose this, and I would
Yes.
agree with you. Why now? Why didn't you feel it earlier, or did you feel it earlier? How did that come to be? Let's try to get people to understand how you don't. Did you just wake up one morning and there it was? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, and kind of.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that I have learned since this whole thing started that through my own, what we're currently calling past life regressions, that this has always been my job. This has always been my choice, which is to teach new understandings as we evolve. And they tell me that my soul is very, very, very old.
Wow.
So I think I look pretty good for being like 400,000 years
Yeah,
old.
you do. You look great.
So anyway, it was almost like that. So I had this career in advertising, which I loved, and creative advertising. And I actually sat down to write a magazine article one evening. I'm a laptopper.
Mhm.
And I sat down to write that, and it started off with "Dear Cindy," and I stopped and I said, "That's not my article. That's not something I'm doing." And
Right.
I just received it. I can't tell you how, but 7 pages later, they were telling me that I had this purpose, and which is a good thing because I never knew I had a purpose before that. So
Wow.
that's how it all started.
So in this automatic writing, a lot of people do automatic writing, but they
Yeah,
assume that it's God. What's the difference?
it is God.
It is
It is
God.
God. It is the soul. Joseph told me one time that every channel is channeling their what some people call their higher self, or
Right.
we refer to it as the soul. Esther
Right.
refers to it as the inner being. It's all the same thing. It's a consciousness that is the most expanded version of you. It's the most expanded vibration of you, which is why they're teaching allow your soul to lead. So because when you are down here, they have given this visual of if they always start off by saying if we had a body but we don't, it's you actually you, Cindy, and I go, well,
Yes.
that's why there's room for everybody
Right.
in here.
Right.
So they say we would be on Mount Everest standing up directing you, our ground crew, on
Wow.
how to live in the chaos that the human collective has created,
Mhm.
and to bypass the boulders and the deep waters and the fear by allowing us to lead you, because the soul is seeing from the higher perspective. It's a broader vantage point that you have access to,
Right.
and nothing is by happenstance. Nothing happens outside of yourself.
Absolutely not. How do you handle, let's say, and maybe ego's in this too, I'm not sure, but I would imagine that there's scrutiny, and I would imagine that your own character has been judged because, right?
Oh,
Because who are you to channel
yeah,
Joseph?
yeah.
And let's even put it in, and I love Esther Hicks, and if you're listening, thank you for listening to the show. But even people like Esther Hicks, who, and I don't view her as territorial at all. I imagine her publicist might be, but I don't view Esther as being that way. But how do you handle that where they say, well, wait a minute, are you trying to take,
Oh, I've gotten
Abraham's
that.
Esther,
Oh,
or Esther's
yeah,
Abraham? What are you doing?
yeah.
Are you trying to replace this? Are you trying to be the next da 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 da?
I'm
So,
really glad you brought that up because I ended up leaving, but I almost got kicked out of an Abraham Hicks Vortex group, which blew my mind. It was hilarious. But no, this is Esther's soul is with Abraham,
right.
and my soul is with Joseph. They are evolved. We are sisters. We will meet at some point. We have connection. I have spoken on. Actually, that doesn't matter. But I do. I kind of shake my head and I say it's their awareness. Joseph certainly did not have to come out and say who they were for their benefit. They
Right.
could have gone on like so many channels. They could have gone on and just had the teaching.
Right.
The reason they are doing this and the reason they have come out and said this is because all of their teaching will be a demonstration. It will be a demonstration, most of which will be demonstrated by me. And I say, oh my God, they've got they've got some nerve there. But
Right.
they say you agreed to it, so okay. So they are showing us and demonstrating for us the evolution of our own consciousness. So by them outing themselves and saying we are the evolved version of Seth and Abraham, you can not only read their message and then go back and read Seth and read Abraham and say, oh my God, this is the connection. This is how the evolution of consciousness happens. And so they're demonstrating for us on a vibrational level, and we will be demonstrating it for us as you are too,
Mhm.
probably subconsciously at this point, but you
Yeah.
are demonstrating the evolution of your own consciousness.
Right.
They have said before that you as our human aspects have come to this earth many times with different names, and you have evolved from those conscious beings into what you are now.
That's amazing. I have often, you said it was interesting how you started your automatic writing and it said, Dear Cindy. And I have found sometimes when I'm praying or getting into channel, I'm not a great writer. So it's not writing. It's really usually my quiet time. I have found myself addressing Beth. And I wondered why I said that. And I've done it many times.
Yeah.
And then it would almost fill in the blank of the Beth of to who I know I am,
Right.
which I
right.
don't even know where that came from.
Yeah. That's
So,
right. Your soul is teaching you that.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you said that you had that as well. Do you, we're going to talk about more of that when we get back. I want to talk about the ego. Let's talk about the ego when we get back. And I also want to know what Joseph says for all of us as a whole, if you can share something with that.
Okay.
We'll be right back. We're on Psychic Soup. We're talking to Cindy Edison, the author of The Teachings of Joseph, and it's a series of 4 books. You can find them on Amazon. Tune in. You don't want to miss out. This is a very in-depth conversation. If you've missed part of it, tune in and replay it and share it with your friends. We'll be right back on Psychic Soup.
Well, hello everyone. I am Gloria Parker, the psychic bartender. You know, I use that title honestly because I was the first female bartender in Atlanta back in the 60s, and I stayed in that profession for over 33 years. You know, numerology is the foundation of the universe, and everything is embedded in numbers. So call me any Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. Just call in at 678-495-4345. Listeners, of course, are always welcome by tuning into United Intentions, WDJY 99.1 FM. So what a really great way to get some first-hand information from your psychic bartender and learn something new about you on your drive home from work, or just call in from anywhere. So you can reach me and you can listen to me on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and many other stations. Or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as United Intentions, or on Twitter as Higher Intention.
And we are back on Psychic Soup. I just looked for the thumbs up from the producer. I wanted to let you know that United Intentions is also on Binge Networks TV, which is really cool. You guys visit www.bingenetworks.tv, that's .tv, and look for UITV under the channel 12783. That's very easy to remember, 12783. Their new channel is featured on Apple TV, Google Play, Roku, Amazon Fire, and much more. You don't want to miss that. And there's also a whole Comcast expect, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to talk to Cindy Edison because this is such an important conversation, and we're talking about the collective consciousness, which is teaching us about the new earth vibration. And she channels Joseph, which is a collection of teachers, and 7 teachers to be exact. So, anyway, we're going to talk about this. We were just talking about, my mind is just blown, if you're wondering. That's why I'm like, it's because I'm so into this, and this channel is so deep. If you guys could feel in this room the energy, you would be shocked. Like, in the segment 1, I had to keep, I honestly was about to cry, and I don't even know why. Like, tears were welling up, and I had to keep myself from crying. And I was like, why am I about to cry? So it's very powerful. Cindy, thank you so much for spending your time with us and teaching us about this. So I want to know what ego means to you. That's what we were talking about a minute ago, ego. And, what is it?
The ego is an aspect of us. As it turns out, who knew? The ego is an aspect of us. It's an aspect of us, which means it's an aspect of our soul, which means it comes from love, and it is built from love. The ego is not, I have to calm myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's so passionate.
This teaching, the current teaching of the ego has thrown everybody for a loop.
Yeah, a whirlwind.
And Seth spoke about the ego and said that even at that time, the teaching had gotten so out of hand, it really has wreaked havoc. It's wreaked havoc in the human aspect, and the teaching continues today, and it does not sit well with me. Anyway, the ego is an aspect of us. The ego is so many things, but I liken it to the ego being our soul on the ground. The soul does not come into the 3rd dimension. The soul only plays in the higher ups, in the 5th dimension and up, right? Because there is no fear. There's no fear in the soul. So, and there's no need for anything in the soul. Well, when we come into this chaotic realm, the realm of contrast. We come in order to choose. So in order to choose, we have to have something to choose from, which is where the contrast comes in.
Right.
So every thought that's ever been thought out there by everybody who has ever existed in this realm is available for your choosing, for your choosing, for you, the human aspect, choosing.
Got it.
So when you are choosing thoughts that are negative, are creating a momentum toward an out of alignment manifestation, when you are choosing thoughts that are not in alignment with your soul, you are out of alignment, moving away from who you really are, which is your soul. So our ego steps in when we begin as human aspects choosing. I'm making a big point about this human aspect choosing.
Absolutely.
The ego aspect steps in with the negative emotion to say, you are out of alignment with this line of thinking. And if you continue, you will create an out of alignment manifestation. You continue the momentum. When you're picking your thoughts and choosing your thoughts, law of attraction is at work, right? The law of attraction is bringing to you more of what you're choosing. And if you're choosing the negative thoughts, the negative energy, you're creating from a negative space, which nobody wants, and you get caught in that rabbit hole.
Yes.
So the ego's job is to keep us in alignment with our soul, because the soul validates for us when we're choosing love and peace and joy. We feel that vibration like I'm feeling right now. Can you feel this?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're so in alignment.
Right.
This is so
I know.
cool.
This is awesome.
So,
I'm like,
yeah,
y'all have
we're
no
about to
idea.
fly.
I've never
There's
done
not
drugs,
even chairs
but
underneath us, right? Because
right.
we're just floating.
Right.
So when you're choosing those, but when you're choosing out of alignment, when your soul kind of leaves you alone and says, I'm here when you come back, which is why if you look at this first book, look at this, the lighthouse. This is a lighthouse. And this is why they chose the lighthouse, because they want to demonstrate a visual for us, the human aspect, that shows that they are constant light in the dark. So when you start feeling negative emotion, your ego's saying, go back, turn around, you're out of alignment. And it's an easy way to stay in alignment, because as soon as you start feeling that angst, you know your ego's at play, and you say, wait a minute, I got to rethink this for a second, or I'm going down the wrong road.
So instead of us keeping our ego in check, our ego is keeping us in check.
Yes.
I get it.
I love that. Yes. That's exactly right.
So
exactly right.
Your ego is keeping you in check. It's not the other way around.
It's doing you a big favor.
So our ego is a gift. It's not.
It's in service to the soul.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And to its human aspect.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Yeah. I love that. The ego has gotten a bad rap, and
I say that all the time.
For a lot of us that they say we're caught in our ego. What I would say is it's more like we're choosing to not perceive or think differently.
That's right.
And it's not our ego's fault.
That's right.
Our ego's just showing us.
That's right.
Okay, I get it.
The ego was taught as a blaming tactic.
Right.
You can blame the ego, and the human aspect is off the hook.
Right.
And that's not true. I mean, this vibration is moving us into a world of self-responsibility, where we recognize who we really are, and who we really are is the choosers and the creators of our own experience.
A lot of people don't like hearing that. I have a lot of clients that come in that get very upset when I say, you're choosing this path. You are experiencing this because you chose it. And they get very upset. Right. Yeah. Why would I choose this? And it takes a lot of teaching and coaching to unwind that.
Yes. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I love that you pointed out the lighthouse on this book, because I didn't even notice it. But at one point in time in prayers, I had channeled, and I didn't even know it was in Psalms. It's actually in the Bible. But I had channeled that our path was lit for us. And I have to be honest, I'm not a studier of the Bible. I do think of myself as a Christian, but I'm not well versed. And so I didn't know it was in Psalms. But there's a passage in Psalms. And okay, let me take it back. I had this intent. I went and visited a monastery in Kentucky. And I saw the little oil lamps, and it just drew me in. I had this intense love for the light on the oil lamps, which were continuous.
Nice.
And I prayed about it, and I had this thought that our path is continually lightened. It is lit.
Yes.
And so it brought me to buying a material item. I found myself the perfect oil lamp, which I was actually led to, by the way, which is a whole nother story. And I took it to my office in Buckhead, and now it sits on my counter. And for fire rules, I have to blow it out every night. But when I come into work, I light it every time.
Yeah.
And I always say thank you for the path, the lamp to my feet, and the light on my path. And, for me, it feels like, remember, that light is home base.
That's right. I love that home base.
Yeah.
I love that because that's what this represents too.
Right.
And that's why on the website you'll see lighthouses all over the place because they just are a constant and consistent light for us. Everybody's soul.
That's
Everybody.
amazing. I'm so, gosh, you guys, if y'all knew how much was going on in my head, I have so many questions that the air will not allow. And I feel like we need to have 6 more conversations.
Yeah.
But book 1, I just want to tell you guys real quick. Book 1 is called Experiencing the Soul's Perspective of the Ego, which is what we're talking about.
Let me
Yes.
just say while you talk about this, the reason they put the ego first
Yes.
in their coming out party,
Right.
really, is because when you understand the real purpose of the ego and you shift that perspective from fear to love, when you do that, you will feel an immediate expansion of your own vibration. That's a huge fear dumper.
I would agree,
because
yes.
if you can do it, a lot of people don't like to hear they're responsible. I get
No.
that, but this is the way to do it.
Definitely. The second book is The Aspects of the Soul, the 7 Steps of Self-Discovery and Healing. And in this book, Cindy pointed out to me when we were off the air that there's 7 steps that are actually given by Joseph, and she channeled them, and they're written in here. And they're very powerful. It resonated with me right away because I'm used to it, but for some of you, it may be it is definitely going to be a mind-opening and heart-opening experience to read those 7 steps. So that's the part of number 2, and I have a question about number 2 in a minute. And number 3 is the love of the soul and the process of deliberate alignment. I love that, deliberate alignment, which means our choosing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm getting this. And what's the book number 4? What is that one called?
Oh, number 4 is so beautiful.
I got chills. What is that one?
Number 4 is the relationship between the soul and the human aspect, a love story.
Oh, I love that.
It's all about love, 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 love. They drench love all over the place.
Well, I love that. And if you guys want these books, like I said, they're on Amazon. And you can go to Cindy's website, which is theteachingsofjoseph.com. And you can find her on Facebook and on Instagram. And it's spelled Josef. But Cindy, back to, I want to go to karma. What, I always joke and tell people I'm a karma person. Like I have a hard time making a conscious wrong decision that I know is wrong because I'm too karma related. That's what I always tell people. So what do you, we only have a minute and we may have to go into the next segment with it, but let's start off. What is karma to you? What has Joseph said karma is? Everything.
I never really believed in karma.
Okay.
I think people rely on it for another blaming thing. That's just my own opinion. Until Joseph wrote what they think about karma, what they define karma. Karma is simply an aspect who is out of alignment.
Interesting.
Everything is about alignment. Everything. And if we get to talk about what we're referring to as past life regressions, now a lot of people can relate to that term.
Right.
I'll give you the reality of what that is too in this new vibration.
Well, shoot, tell me.
Okay, so you know that there is no past, there's no future, there is only now,
Right.
and that everything that happened to you before happened to you, the lives that you lived, the experiences that you've had in your eternal evolution of the human aspect are happening now on different vibrational timelines. Okay, so if you were in a spaceship looking down at the Earth and you could only see the highway systems of the entire Earth, if that's all that was lit up, and you can picture, just look at New York for God's sakes.
Right.
I mean, or Atlanta too, but if you
Right.
could picture that, those are all vibrational timelines, and every vibration is so unique. And the human aspect that you were before, you are this one,
Right.
is living as a vibration on this other timeline.
I get that.
Everything is happening now. So when you do a past life regression, they are going, they're not really going back, they're going like over there.
Over
You
there.
know,
I
they're
get
going
that
over
resonates.
to another
Yes,
timeline
that resonates.
and expanding, not healing the aspect, but expanding the aspect from an out of alignment position to an alignment position, which brings the whole of the soul, the whole of the human aspect, the whole of the universe, and it expands it in love. Just through that
Man,
experience.
you've opened a can of worms. We're going to talk about, I'm not going to say Pandora's box because I heard what that definition really is, but you've
I'd
opened
like
a
to hear
can of
that.
worms.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. We're talking to Cindy Edison, and we're talking about the teachings of Joseph. Tune in. You're listening to Psychic Soup. You don't want to miss the tail end. We're going to talk about karma and what that is, and a few other things as we wrap up. Be right back on Psychic Soup. This is Beth Peters.
This is Tim.
And Maria from UI Media Network.
We both know what it's like to own your own business and needing to grow.
Building brand awareness, maximizing your visibility in the community, and reaching new customers is essential in keeping the doors open.
So in the spirit of 2019, we want to offer you a very special price at 50% off for commercial of your own.
So please call now and get on the calendar to get your commercial going for the new year.
So call UI Media Network at 678-495-4345. That's 678-495-4345.
Download the UI Media Smart app at uimediaapp.com to watch and listen to all your favorite shows anytime from anywhere in the world. Shows that enrich, entertain, educate, and feeds the conscious cells throughout your body. We bring you never heard before topics in health, inspiration, music, psychics, numerology, current affairs, controversies, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.uimediaapp.com and start raising your frequency now.
Good grooves, Jesse. I love this music. Thank you. You are coming back in and you're listening to Psychic Soup with Beth Peters and my guest, Cindy Edison. But real quick, I want to tell you a little bit more about me. I am a channeler as well. I'm a psychic and a medium. I use that definition for tag-related and media-populated reasons, but it's really about intuitive and psychic advice in your life and also channeling messages for your highest good. I'm used as a vessel of communication myself and used to deliver messages for the highest good of all of it involved. You can book a private reading with me to talk to your loved ones or whatever else you need, and even your animals. My office is in Atlanta, Georgia, in Buckhead. My website is bethpeterspsychicmedium.com, and my email is beth@bethpeterspsychicmedium.com. It is my full-time job. I also travel the world and doing large galleries with big audiences, channeling in large groups, and some public speaking. So I wanted to say thank you, and you do have to book in advance. You can text me at 770-712-4010, and of course you can find me on social media everywhere, bethpeterspsychicmedium.com, to book an appointment. I'd love to meet you guys, and thank you again for tuning into the show. But more important, we need to wrap up with Cindy Edison, who I am now, I realize I'm going to have to go to her house and talk to her a lot because there's so much more to talk about. And we're, the last thing we were just talking about was karma. And what, off the air, I told her what I felt like what she's saying karma is karma really is what you're bringing to yourself through the thoughts and actions of what you're putting out. So it's not like a cause and effect, like a punishment. You may be punishing yourselves as a sense, I guess, but if you're thinking negative thoughts and you're out of alignment, then you're going to bring more unalignment to you. And that is my take on what karma really is. Is that correct, Cindy?
That's really good. I just want to say too, on the same subject of karma, that the reason that people think in the current teaching is that, clean up all your stuff before you die, right?
Yes,
Before
I
you die.
forgot about that. Yes.
Well, when you transition, as you know, because I channel the dead people too, I don't do it anymore, but
Yeah.
I did. So I know what
Yeah.
you're, I know what you're feeling when you're doing that. It's fabulous.
Right. Thank you.
So when we die and we leave the human aspect with the soul, the spirit actually, which is a whole nother conversation, it ascends.
Yes.
The human aspect is left in the vibration and left dormant until it's focused on again, like any vibration.
Ah, okay.
So if you leave with something out of alignment, when you return, you're still out of alignment. When you look at that human aspect and say, okay, I'm ready to go now, I'm starting off out of alignment in this aspect.
Gotcha.
In this aspect. Your soul is always intact. Your soul, it is never the soul who ever needs any healing of any kind. It is always and only the human aspect that gets what we're calling, well, what we're not calling it healing
Right.
anymore, but what the world is calling healing is actually expansion. It's giving the human aspect the opportunity to expand to the vibration of its higher self.
So do you think okay, so you were speaking earlier that we're coexisting on aspects of ourselves across several timelines at the same time.
Yes.
Which I totally believe, because when I've talked to loved ones who have passed, for some of my clients, I've tried to explain to them what their loved ones are saying about this, and it's very hard to comprehend. But I've received this in channel as well, because they've said, well, how is it that my dad could be here again and my cousin, but we're talking to him?
Right.
So it's the aspects of ourselves.
Yes.
It's such a great way to word it.
Version.
The evolved version. So, and then some people believe that we come here and they believe it's a linear timeline. Is that linear, up and down? Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
And they believe that you come here to learn lessons, and until you learn them all, you're going to keep coming, almost like it's a punishment.
I hate that.
Yeah. Does the collective consciousness have an answer to that?
Yes.
Why do people feel that way, and is that wrong thinking? What does that mean?
Misaligned teachings, out of alignment teachings, fearful teachings. We don't believe, nor does Joseph teach, that you come here for any lesson. You're not learning anything. You're expanding. You're just expanding. You can't unexpand. You can't unexperience.
You can't unsee
unlearn.
that. Right.
You can't. Right. So the aspect is the one who is asking for the expansion, and it is always expansion toward the higher self, always expansion toward the soul, which is the highest vibration of the true you, is where all your stuff is.
Wow. So at the same time, there's several pieces of the pumpkin pie, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back and listen to the program. Yeah. Several pieces of the pumpkin pie are learning aspects of ourselves at the same time, and we're expanding on the aspects of ourselves at the same time.
Yes. But the aspects is kind of a new teaching. There are some newer teachers that I've been seeing that I say, oh my God, they're teaching the aspect. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So it's just starting to come in, but it gives you a better idea of the bigness of us.
So this puts a whole new perspective on time travel. Why do, when we look in history, which is time, when we look at past lives and past life regressions, do we view it as a time period? Which some of us do.
You're seeing and I've experienced that too. Yes,
right.
Because those time periods in the Earth realm and the time-space reality that is here,
right,
existed that way. Just like when we, in 100 years, if you and I are together over there and we're looking at something back here, we're going to be like this, looking down, and we're going to see all this equipment I see over here, But we're going to be living where there's no equipment because everything's going to be telepathic. Or everything's going to be vibrationally done. And we're going to say, look how old that system is.
Right.
Just like I look back now in the 1970s and look at the TV I had with 3 channels.
Wow.
It's evolution. It's evolution.
Right.
So as the human aspect evolves and the earth evolves and we discover more things which are held within the vibration, Joseph tells me that we will, within this vibration, are new discoveries, new scientific discoveries, new words, new meanings for things.
Yes.
For our own expansion, we can't expect to expand and stay in this same understanding. It's an increased understanding.
Why do you think it is that we don't remember, like we have to go through meditation and past life regression to come in contact with those other aspects of ourselves or the memories of lives that we're experiencing at the same time? Like I've always said, I would love to have lived in the 50s at one point in time. I would have loved to have lived in the 30s because I want to see it. I want to experience it. But what you're saying is it's quite possible that I am and have. Why do I not remember that?
Well, because you're focused in the here and now.
Gotcha.
You're focused in the now. Your purpose is in the now, but you, like I can go visit. I visited the new earth in its vibrational sense.
Yeah.
You can feel the vibration.
I can feel
of
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel it.
So you can feel when you go and visit your other aspects of you or your previous lives or whatever you want to call it, you can feel that vibration. However, the vibration is lower than we are now. So we're not advocates of going back in time because it's all experience, all just eternal experience. We just continue to look forward,
That's
the human wants to know all that stuff, and it's fun to know, but it doesn't really help you unless you're expanding in some way.
Right. For me, I'm a nostalgia person. I'm an artist, and I love the aspect of the different time periods because out of nostalgia. I just love to study it. I'm a hopeless romantic,
The creative aspect
Yes.
is probably so alive in that, and you tap into that creative aspect.
I do.
Every time you create something.
I do.
That creative aspect steps forward,
And I've tried to explain to a lot of people when I'm channeling that, they're like, well, why would you go from acting and an artist to doing this? But what I know to be true is it's all the same thing.
Yes.
It's the creative side of
Yes.
me. And I don't know how to explain that. So
Yes,
I'm glad you
yes.
get that.
Yes, I do get it.
Yeah.
I do get it.
It's all the same. If you had any parting messages, or if Joseph has any parting messages, and also ways to get a hold of you, any upcoming events, or the things that you do in your professional life to help spread the words and the consciousness of the collective, what would that be in our wrap up here on Psychic Soup? And again, I'm so grateful to have you, Cindy. I feel like we could talk
so
forever.
Much for having us. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
been really wonderful. I appreciate it so much. I will tell you what many of the people who have sat in on our gathering that Joseph harps on. They harp on this. They harp on alignment. Figure out how to get in alignment. However way you can do that, that is where your power is. That is where your point of creation really is if you want to manifest in alignment experiences here in the earth plane. Alignment all the way.
All the way.
All the way.
And do you have any upcoming events? What type of events do you do?
Next Sunday on the 24th, I think it is, Esther will be here on the 23rd.
Yes.
Certainly going to that with a friend of mine.
Yay.
And
if you don't get kicked out. No,
on
I'm
the
just
24th,
kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. On the
will be-
24th, we'll be at Forever and a Day. I guess that's in Woodstock.
Yes.
And then we
And you just got back from Phoenix and Dragon. What was that, yesterday?
Yeah, did that yesterday.
Nice.
And Open
Okay.
Mind Center a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we're having a lot of fun. And we're about to roll out in a big way. And it looks like we're going to be expanding.
Awesome. And
Expanding
again, if you
quickly.
guys want to get her books, again, they are on Amazon, and you can go to her website, which is theteachingsofjoseph.com. And I know that there's a lot of questions out there. I can feel you guys, and I'm sorry I didn't allow for phone calls, but this means you can reach out to Cindy Edison personally, and you can reach out to me, and I will do my best to help you as well.
Great.
But I'm so grateful that you guys tuned in, and if this show touched you in any way, or even made you ponder or ask questions to yourself, then I would recommend that you listen to it again and maybe take 3 deep breaths before you listen to it and just ask for help within yourself, your soul self, to be open-minded and listen again. If you found that this show challenged you in any way, I would also ask you to do that. Not here to try to convince you of anything, but I think this is really important teaching for all of us to digest for whatever purpose and whatever your soul is calling you and your heart is calling you to do. You've been listening to Psychic Soup. This is Beth Peters, and you know I love you. I will be on next week, Monday at 3 p.m., doing my solo show. Love you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you later on Psychic Soup. Signing out.
You have been listening to the Psychic Soup, sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation on the UI Network. Have a question you'd like answered? Need advice from a spiritual source? Call 678-495-4345 and have Beth answer your questions on the air. You can catch Beth Peters every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern on WDJY 99.1 FM. Tune in next time as Beth Peters and her psychic guests reveal their gifts to the world just for you. Through psychic readings, channeling loved ones, and so much more. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time on Psychic Soup, a spoonful of psychics for soulful readings. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.